Hey everybody, welcome back to Comic Crow, and I want to do an update on Marilyn Manson because we've had some pretty shocking news that took place over the weekend, as one of the named accusers against him has not only recanted their statements, but has also said under oath that they were pressured by another accuser and others to come forward with their false claims against him. Now, for those of you who are completely unaware and totally in the dark, like I said, we've done a couple of videos talking about Marilyn Manson and how he's had other lawsuits against him get dismissed. But this is kind of the most shocking one. So a few years back, Marilyn Manson was Me Too'd by a woman known as Evan Rachel Wood. Now, others have later come out against him for similar behavior, including the one who is now recanting. But we do still have two lawsuits against Marilyn Manson on the table. I believe both are from Jane Does who are not identifying themselves. We'll kind of see what's going on there later. But at the same time, of the ones that you have named, you have the one which is Evan Rachel Wood that everybody knows about. The other one, I know her last name's Smithline. We'll read through it in the article. And of your named accusers, you have one accusing the other, pressuring her into making false claims. Now, this reminds many people of what happened last year between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And funny enough, Johnny Depp is not only friends with Marilyn Manson, but Amber Heard is friends with Evan Rachel Wood. So, it's going to seem like this is Johnny Depp 2.0. But to my understanding, Marilyn Manson was canceled and had his entire reputation destroyed long before what happened with Johnny Depp. That might be a little bit off on the timing there. But yeah, I think, Marilyn Manson is the original. Johnny Depp is Marilyn Manson 2.0, except he got out of his situation. And it seems like Marilyn Manson is on the road to recovering his reputation. So these are a bunch of articles, right? NBC News, the LA Times, Rolling Stone, BuzzFeed. I also have this article pulled up from the Hollywood Reporter, which we're going to read through. But, one thing with the Johnny Depp trial and lawsuit is a lot of the headlines, especially the headlines that came out early on, were very anti-Johnny Depp and very pro-Amber Heard. In fact, throughout the entire trial, and to this day, the Washington Post is 1,000% on board with backing Amber Heard. Actually, NBC News is the same thing. But in this, what's happening with Marilyn Manson, I thought was interesting, is you have these outlets that were either very, very, very on the fence for way too long about just calling out Amber Heard, or, still refuse to do so. Well, they're looking at this and they're going, well, can't really bury this one. And you really can't. See, the thing about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial is, at the end of the day, you really only had Amber Heard as your one named accuser coming out against Johnny Depp. I understand that there's probably anonymous claims out there and things like that. It was really Amber Heard. There was nobody else significant, like named with any type of platform that was coming out against Johnny Depp and joining Amber Heard in those claims. Not really, right? Not to this level. But, because Evan Rachel Wood, again, heavily backed this Smithline woman's statements against Marilyn Manson, to have her now say that it was Evan Rachel Wood pushing her to make those claims, pressuring her into making false statements against Marilyn Manson. There's no way of burying that or covering it up or anything. You can try to accuse her of lying and doing it for money, but then that would discredit everything she was saying about him in the first place regardless. Maybe you think it will save Evan Rachel Wood's reputation here. I don't think so. I think that this may actually be some signs that the media is going to have to report on this for the most part, honestly. You can't get away from the fact that the accuser is stating on the record that they have been pressured into putting forward a false story. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. The model filed a statement in Los Angeles Superior Court saying she was manipulated by actress Evan Rachel Wood and others into making false claims. Marilyn Manson accuser Ashley Morgan Smithline has recanted her sexual abuse allegations against the musician. In a Los Angeles Superior Court filing, Smithline states she was manipulated by actress and ex-Manson fiancé Evan Rachel Wood and others to accuse Manson of sexual and physical abuse. So this is what I mean. This is not a Jane Doe accuser. This is not somebody who put out allegations behind an anime avatar on Twitter. Okay, this is somebody who the media has blown up as one of Marilyn Manson's victims. They've run her story. They literally without care at all, whether or not any of it was true. And now she's saying the entire thing was made up and I was pressured into doing it. I succumbed to pressure from Evan Rachel Wood and her associates to make accusations of rape and assault against Manson that were not true, she says in the February 19 declaration that has been obtained by The Hollywood Reporter. The statement, part of a lawsuit from Manson against Wood and Ilma Gore, comes a month after a separate lawsuit against Manson from Smithline was dismissed. Smithline tells the court that she had a brief consensual sexual relationship with Brian Warner, who is also known as Marilyn Manson, in November 2010. Oh, I guess that would be the other part of this story. This all is coming out because it's Marilyn Manson who is filing a lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood and this Ilma Gore person for putting out false statements about him and destroying his reputation. And again, the thing is, Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson, the way they present themselves to the public, it is very different, right? I will say this, and this is not me trying to be like judgmental or biased or anything against Marilyn Manson, but when you look at the demeanor of Johnny Depp versus the demeanor of Marilyn Manson, yeah, Johnny Depp is far more charming, charismatic, versus Marilyn Manson, who, he's a little creepy. Okay, and I'm not saying like, oh, he's creeping on people. I just mean he's a little creepy, right? Like the makeup and the way he talks. I mean, and I'm sure I'm going to have people like absolutely hate me for saying it. But my point is, had the lawsuit with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard not happened, I don't think anyone would be batting a second glance at what's happening between Marilyn Manson and Evan Rachel Wood right now. But 10 years later, Smithline said she was contacted to take part in a group of women alleging sexual abuse from Manson after being in relationships with the rocker, and this included many conversations with actress Wood. I never intended to pursue criminal charges against Mr. Warner, and I have no intention now of ever pursuing criminal charges, as Mr. Warner did not ever assault me or abuse me, Smithline states. Smithline writes, looking back, I feel I was manipulated by Miss Wood, Miss Gore, Miss Esme Bianco, and Mr. Ellwanger to spread publicly false accusations of abuse against Mr. Warner. Gore and Bianco have been involved in lawsuits against the singer that alleged sexual abuse. Manson, who has denied the accusations against him, saw the lawsuit from Smithline dismissed after she missed a filing deadline. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office is still considering whether to file criminal charges against him. Well, that would be ridiculous. Okay, so these charges here would relate to the Jane Doe cases, but I mean, how do you file criminal? And this is the thing. I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with the idea of a 10-year statute of limitations for this, but realistically, if that's the situation, how would you go after him criminally for something that is well past statute of limitations, whether or not it's true or not, right? How do you do that? But more importantly, how do you do that if you now have a pretty high profile accuser? Again, Smithline is not at the level of Wood in terms of media prominence when it comes to Marilyn Manson. Evan Rachel Wood is the original accuser that pretty much destroyed his entire life and reputation. But Smithline was one of the people that came up behind her and backed up her stories and backed it up by saying, he did it to me too. So yeah, he did it to me too. Me too, everybody. But at the same exact time, right? You now have a sworn testimony from this accuser. That's the thing. The claims before this, the claims before this, going to media outlets, putting out these statements and everything, those aren't under oath, okay? And pretty soon, Evan Rachel Wood is going to be put under oath. She will be cross-examined and she will be asked about why she pressured and manipulated Smithline into fabricating her story about Marilyn Manson. I don't know how this whole thing will play out, But again, were it not for the Depp lawsuit, I don't think we would even be having this conversation. I don't think any of these media outlets would report the story even. But after what happened there is no denying any of this. And the fact that she is a friend of Amber Heard's, to top it all off, there's just no getting around this one. Maybe this will be the end of Me Too. Okay. And well, I understand that there's a lot of people who are like, well, no, Me Too had some good things about it. Don't get me wrong. Right. So did labor unions at one point. And you know, now they've kind of just fallen off of a cliff. So well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.